Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So yeah, I am gonna admit that my prediction for UFC 317 was wrong. I really did not expect Charles Oliveira to get beaten so easily. Just looking back on it all, I was definitely right about the fact that Charles Oliveira was seriously not taking the fight serious. The UFC embedded episodes and everything, like, he just seemed to be really taking it easy. He was getting his hair dyed, and I just can't help but sense some of the like drive and ambition from Charles Oliveira has just kind of like disappeared. It is true for like many athletes that once they've reached a certain level of success and wealth, they don't really have that drive anymore. When fighters have accumulated a certain level of wealth and success in their lives, like, they just literally feel like, why do I need to keep putting my body through so much more stress and keep getting punched in the head? So I feel like that is a huge reason why Charles Oliveira lost this fight. I do think that a lot of his drive and ambition has kind of gone, and he's not really that bothered. The whole division has just kind of been slow moving, and Ilia Topuria really shook this division up. Anyway, for this video, something that I really wanted to talk about is how I really feel that the UFC is trying their absolute hardest and best to make Ilia Topuria the next Conor McGregor. I think it is pretty obvious by now that Conor McGregor is not returning to the UFC. We have seen so much controversy surrounding Conor McGregor in the media.
How do you think you would beat Ilia Topuria?
I think it was just like last week where another article came out about him being in Ibiza and he was involved with another altercation. It's pretty obvious that Conor McGregor is not really going to be returning to the UFC and bringing that drama and energy and those numbers, those pay-per-view numbers, back to the UFC. So I feel like the UFC is trying to like craft and create their new Conor McGregor star, and they want that to be Ilia Topuria. I saw as well this week on Instagram, like, people talking about how Ilia Topuria's followers have just grown massively, and he's now managed to surpass Islam Makhachev as the most followed UFC Instagram athlete. Guys, by the way, right now it is so hot where I live. Like, for where I live, this kind of weather is not normal, and I am struggling so bad. In a foreign country, I can deal with hot weather, but here it is just so unbearable. Anyway, going back to it, Ilia Topuria is now the most followed UFC Instagram athlete, and he's managed to surpass Islam Makhachev. And I came across a TikTok video maybe like yesterday where somebody was literally saying that he has bought Instagram followers.
841,000 in one day.
Buying fake Instagram followers is just buying like a bunch of fake random accounts. It's not going to really do anything for your actual level of fame. To be honest, from my perspective, I do find it pretty hard to believe that Ilia Topuria has managed to gain this many followers so quickly just from UFC 317. Of course, his knockout moment definitely went like all over the internet. But do you really think that you could go up to somebody in the street and they are going to recognize Ilia Topuria as much as they do Islam Makhachev? And I was even talking to somebody about the fight after it happened, and they literally said that the UFC actually posted the full fight between Charles Oliveira and Ilia Topuria straight away on the UFC's YouTube page, which is something they don't typically do. They need that big, controversial, like, big mouth figure that's gonna like go and create all this drama and controversy and recreate those pay-per-view numbers that the UFC had when Conor McGregor fought Khabib.
You think whiskey gonna help him? I don't understand.
So Conor McGregor versus Khabib managed to get like 2.4 million pay-per-view buys, and since then the UFC has not managed to beat those numbers. So I'm sure from the UFC's perspective as a business, they're gonna like want to beat their past records and figures. And to do that, they need someone like Ilia Topuria, who's got the talent and all of the drive and all of this like aura, and just like create a load of drama and get so many people watching the UFC again, like people who aren't even typically into MMA. And to be honest, I really do agree that Ilia Topuria takes so much inspiration from Conor McGregor. Ilia Topuria definitely has a lot of big similarities with Conor McGregor. Like I saw this one clip of like their little pre-fight ritual thing, and he was doing this like shoulder thing that Conor McGregor has always done, and they literally have like some of the same tattoos and even the way they both dress. So yeah, I really do think that if the UFC want Ilia Topuria to be the next Conor McGregor, like Ilia Topuria is going to really have to step it up. Conor McGregor did and said so many crazy controversial things to Khabib. A lot of it was racist and really offensive and did target Khabib's Dagestani background and his family and everything, and Ilia Topuria will literally have to do the same things. That is essentially what drew so many people to wanting to watch that fight, because people were literally online and reading about this white guy Conor McGregor being rude and racist to this Muslim guy Khabib, and everyone was just like so drawn in. And I think that is definitely what caused that particular fight to have so many pay-per-view buys and draw so many people to the UFC. Conor McGregor is also known for like constantly always coming at Khabib and his family members on social media, and I know that is something Ilia Topuria has been doing recently as well. He's been on Twitter saying things about Islam Makhachev and been saying things about all of the other different Team Khabib fighters that do MMA. He's definitely following in Conor McGregor's footsteps, but I think to get to the level that Conor McGregor had, Ilia Topuria is going to like really have to step it up, and he will probably need to get on the level of controversy that Sean Strickland creates.
And to answer your question about the little Chechen prostitute.
Even I was looking at the UFC's YouTube page, and it seems like they've created like a whole new podcast series, and it's called About Last Fight, and their first guest for that was Ilia Topuria. It was literally like a whole hour-long sit-down. But of course, it is interesting how they chose for that first guest on this podcast to be Ilia Topuria as well. And that just backs up my whole like belief as well in the fact that the UFC really do want to create their next Conor McGregor. I think that level of controversy and craziness that surrounded the Conor McGregor and Khabib fight, like remember that bus attack, remember the press conference, remember all of the insults on social media. I think that can only be created between Islam Makhachev and Ilia Topuria. I don't think it is something that could get that crazy between Paddy Pimblett and Ilia Topuria, for example. I know Paddy Pimblett came into the octagon after the fight and like tried to do a face-off with him, but will a future Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria fight ever get to the level that Conor versus Khabib did? I definitely don't think so. Even Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin, spoke about Hunter Campbell visiting Dagestan recently, and he spoke about how the UFC wanted Ilia Topuria to be the next lightweight champion, and it's like they already predicted it, and that is something that the UFC really envisioned for their future, for Ilia Topuria to be the next face of the lightweight division. And I think that is just definitely something that is more evidence to say that the UFC are trying to create their new Conor McGregor out of Ilia Topuria. So guys, I want to put the question to you. Do you think that Ilia Topuria has the ability to get to Conor McGregor's level of fame and level of superstardom in the UFC? I honestly think that it is possible, but Ilia Topuria is going to have to really step it up. He's going to have to like talk about Islam Makhachev's family, his life, culture, Dagestan, and get like really like offensive. And then that is what is going to create the new like figure that all of the like UFC is gonna like go crazy for, and people all over the world are gonna get like captivated and like want to see this like eventual fight between Ilia Topuria, a Spanish Georgian guy, versus Islam Makhachev, a Caucasian Dagestani guy. I know Ilia Topuria has already made some comments about Dagestani wrestling not being good enough, and that is one of the reasons that Umar Nurmagomedov had lost his fight against Merab. So he's already creating that like drama and like controversy between Dagestani guys and Georgian guys, so that is quite interesting. So you can already see that Ilia Topuria is like setting the stones in place to like create this big like new storyline. So guys, I am so struggling with this heat and I think I've done so much talking. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the UFC is trying to really push Ilia Topuria as the new face and the new star of the UFC? Do you think he has the ability to get to Conor McGregor's level of fame? If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to share and like and subscribe to my channel.